About 2 months ago, I came up with an idea for an interview series where I could bring on players, casters, developers, content creators, or anybody else in Siege and help to tell their stories. There's a lot of untapped narrative potential in some of these people, and we all come from different walks of life. This is the first of those interviews. This is an open space where the interviewee can be as honest and transparent as they want to be without breaking any non-disclosure agreements to do so. I've done my best to leave this as uncut as possible. Nothing in this interview is unimportant, and you should have all of the necessary context. I really hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoyed recording it, so pull up a seat or lay in bed, take a nap, grab a snack, whatever it takes, and enjoy this interview with ALPHAMA. It's been, how long has it been since, I'm trying to remember, since the kick from Giants timeline. It's been a little bit. You know what, I'll probably actually preface this a little bit. This is ALPHAMA. This is a player for eUnited who came over from Europe a couple months back after 10 years with the guys on LeStream, LFO, the Vodafone Giants at one stage, and is actually the first French player to come over to the US from Europe, and is the second technically international transfer if you want to count both Staaben and Gomfi to the Susquehanna Sonics as being one big combined transfer. In this case, ALPHAMA technically makes up the second because he came by himself. So there's a whole story associated with that, and there's a whole story associated with the way in which he, I don't want to say was ousted from Europe, but opted to go for a deal with a North American team as opposed to sticking in Europe or sticking with the squad that he's been with for the past however long before the eUnited deal. But there's a couple things that we can dive into a little bit more on the specifics about how this whole thing came about, and this is also something I wanted to see if I couldn't get started is in a deeper interview series with players who had interesting stories to tell, because there's a lot of untapped storyline or narrative behind a whole bunch of this stuff, and it's cool to dive into it, but there's also some things that you haven't, I guess, publicly disclosed or haven't talked about a whole bunch. So without breaking NDA and without going too hard into some details that maybe the rest of the world doesn't necessarily need to know, we get to dive into all of that. So
yeah,
question is, how far back do you want to start? How far back is the LeStream days, or pre-LeStream, before an org signing or anything like that? What's a good starting point for all this for you?
Well, I say if you want to give a bit of context, I'd say the best way to start would be to be speaking of our choice of picking up Corey just straight before the Las Vegas minor. Okay. Because that was the last iteration of our team when I got kicked. So I would start there, and then I'm probably gonna end up talking about Tokoname, the Japanese Pro League finals, and then how I got kicked there, what the context, why I got kicked, what was the real reasons. How did that happen, and what I think would have been better than that. And then I'm probably gonna talk a bit, I know it's none of my business anymore because I'm not in the team, but I know it's something that really interests a lot of people. Why, and that could be a really good clickbait title, but why is Rogue an online team? Why didn't we perform in LANs? And I think I've gotten three main reasons why we didn't perform in LAN. And that's my opinion, obviously, so you can value how you want it. I'm not in the team anymore, but I thought it was a really important subject to talk about, because I didn't see any player talking about it too much. So I think my mindset could be good. And that's probably it. I guess my kick, my previous team, and why they don't perform in LAN. And then if you have any questions for United, then we can go into that later.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Just a structure of we can talk about the kick, we can talk about how the Rogue's previous performance, why they weren't doing good, a little bit more on the United idea, and then moving over. I mean, I also do still kind of want to touch on how the heck you've been able to transition from doing stuff in Europe to almost what seems like a very, very seamless, easy transition to us on the outside, who obviously aren't you, who didn't have to move across the Atlantic to keep on playing for a different team, who don't speak the nearly as the same number of languages fluently, any of that stuff. So we can totally get into more of that, but we can start kind of, if you want to start from where you mentioned, so that's the Allied Esports minor. This is June 7th through June 9th of last year. The first tournament that we had, that was a Swiss format for the first stage. It was pretty groundbreaking because it's the first time we worked with Allied Esports. In the roadmap for 2019, this was originally supposed to be an iBuyPower event, but iBuyPower had to back out, so Allied Esports picked up the contract for this event instead. And this event had a ticket to the 6 major Raleigh in North Carolina on the line for the team that got first place. Technically, you guys came in second, but you already had a ticket to the Raleigh major, so you were more playing this, I guess, for like the LAN exposure to keep on playing after, you know, just like the Pro League season had already ended, so were you just kind of like looking for something else to compete in? Because you already had a ticket punched at that point.
So it's a really particular event for us, and you're gonna understand why. So giving the context back, right now we're in LeStream, and it's gonna be our last month together with LeStream. And our team at that time, when we were in Milan Pro League finals, we had Uno, Aces, Rise, Hicks, and then Crapple and Robs in the staff, all right? And then Uno has been approached by G2 and decided to leave for G2 before our Pro League finals. So when we played with him Pro League finals, we knew he was going to leave. Okay. But he played at 100% for us. He was like, it's our last tournament together. I really want to give it all. And he was really, you know, invested. That didn't change his performance or his mental at all. He was really 100% with us. And he decided to leave for G2, and we had to obviously fill his spot. So we decided to go for Corey because it was another German in the team. ACs wouldn't be the only German, and then like 3 French-speaking guys in the team, you know, as players. So it was really important to bring someone from his country, also like someone that we knew had a good mentality and could be fitting in the team spirit. So we pick up Corey, and we have the 3 days bootcamp in Paris with LeStream with this new lineup, and we practice during 3 days with this new lineup. And I don't remember exactly if it's at the beginning of the bootcamp or after the bootcamp, but I remember very well that we're in our gaming house in Paris. I was living there with Crapel and Uno before, and this gaming house also served as a facility to sleep when we had bootcamps in Paris. So we had that meeting in the living room where Crapel and Robs announced us that LeStream decided to release us. They didn't get into the pilot program, and they decided that staying on Rainbow Six without the pilot program wouldn't be financially good for them, basically. They said it was a bad strategic choice to stay with us, even though at that time we were performing really, really well. And that really looked weird because when they actually officially announced our release 1 month later, we were top 1 of EU Pro League and we were undefeated. So that really sounded, you know,
that sounds really weird, to have the roster performing so well. But you knew like a good... How long before the Vegas minor did you know that LeStream wasn't going to continue with you guys? Like a couple weeks or a month, a couple days beforehand? Like what was that timeline?
I can't remember the exact date when Crapple told me that, but I remember we were all in the living room in the Paris gaming house, and Corey and Aces were there. So it meant that we were at the bootcamp, that's for sure. So that was during the 3 days. So 3 days previous, the minor in Vegas, we knew that LeStream was going to drop us at the end of the month. Okay. And we knew that they were trying to sell us to other organizations that were part of Rainbow Six, but had lost their spot in Pro League the season before. So we knew that we could potentially join an organization that just dropped out of Pro League, or another organization that wasn't yet involved in Rainbow Six. And we just knew that we were going to have to find a new home. And if LeStream didn't find a new home to sell us to, then we would be free agents. And at that time, it wasn't that much of a big deal, except for the money. But it wasn't that much of a big deal because the Pro League was online. So you could stay free agents in Pro League. You were not going to lose your spot like EG or LG did. So we move on, Vegas Minor, and we're basically there just to show our strength because we know that we're at that point we're playing for our lives. We're playing for our salaries, we're playing to negotiate better conditions of life because we know that based off our recent results, we're going to get a better org or not. So we come in Vegas Minor with 3 days practice and with Corey, a new guy in the team, and we actually end up losing it in a grand final, 1 round away.
Yeah.
8-7 on the last map. Against Secret, and that's one. If you've never seen that match, that's one of the best matches you can watch in Rainbow Six. It's telling you,
it's a phenomenal match. Yeah, it comes down to the wire. It gets to a map 3, and that's after the first map was 7-5 in Secret's favor. The second map you won on overtime match point, so it could have ended a whole map before that, and then it goes to OT match point again on Consulate. Like that whole event has a lot of rewatchability, but that final, it was so down to the wire. It was a really, really good game. It's just for you guys crazy. Especially, it does suck to lose that. You already know you're going to be heading to the Raleigh major. You have your ticket already set to go there. The only question is kind of like, well, how are we going to get there if we don't have, an organization to represent us? But LeStream was helping you, right? They were like looking actively to try to like get you guys sold off, you mentioned. So it's not like you were totally dead, but if they couldn't find something, then the only option was to go orgless at that point.
Well, we had we had a very good chance of so the head of Esport of LeStream was Yasin Jahada, and he's a really good friend to mine and to the team because he really tried to help us as much as we could. And I remember Rob's being talking with him a lot, trying to figure out the different solutions. If we couldn't find an organization before the end of June, Rob's was thinking of a different solution. Would have been for us to go orgless, create a new team branding around orgless, and show that we're looking for an organization. That's what that's what we end up doing because LeStream couldn't sell us. So end of June, Rob's once again carrying the team with him, creating a full new branding, looking for a new logo, new
make the Twitter account, got to get everybody up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a whole process involved in that.
He manages the interviews with all the organizations that are interested by our spot, bringing all the arguments, the fact that we're undefeated, that we have 100% win rate in EU Pro League, blah 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 blah, and just Rob's keeps doing his job and keeps getting interviews with more and more organizations to get us in an organization, basically.
Yeah. Sounds like he was working hard trying to do that too. It's not like he wasn't slacking off. He was like actively trying to do it. It just took, you guys under LFO a long time to find, something after that. So like I was shocked at it. I remember I did a full like summer semester like worth of coursework, and I just remember watching EUPL and like a little bit of DreamHack at that point and just thinking these guys they're doing really, really good and they still don't have an org yet. And I remember just being mind-boggled by that because I didn't understand like what was happening, but
the funniest thing was the funniest thing was DreamHack Valencia. So DreamHack Valencia, we go there as free agents,
right?
But LeStream thought that so at that time LeStream thought that we would still be in. So when LeStream booked the hotels for DreamHack Valencia,
yeah,
they still thought that we would be in the team, in the organization.
Oh, you weren't with them, but they still paid for your hotel bill? Oh, so no way.
So we went there free agents, but they still paid for our hotel bill. That was really, really, really kind of them, to be honest. And
that's great.
If I have to say that, it's also because in the Vegas Minor, we weren't invited. We had to qualify for the Vegas Minor.
That's right. Yeah, there was an online qualifier everyone forgets about. Yeah.
We played. I think we played 3 days or one full weekend of BO1s with really weird rules, like not the same amount of rounds that normal Pro League matches. And we almost got kicked. I remember we almost lost 2 times BO1s against tier 2 or tier 3 teams, and we almost didn't qualify. And that I remember because it was what they call the underdogs tournament. They gave $5,000 to the people that were winning the qualifier to pay for the expenses in Vegas. So basically, instead of getting invited and by qualifying for it, we earned them $5,000. So let's say that we're equals. We're equals for the Valencia hotel rooms.
That's not bad. It's like, yeah, you did them a favor by making sure they didn't have to pay any of your bills when you went to Vegas, but then when you went to Valencia, which is still in Europe, all they had to do was pay your hotel. It's not even like travel from anywhere in France, like from a LeStream boot camp to Spain would have been that like big of a deal, right?
But it was really great, and we arrived there. And what's the funniest is that we beat TSM, we beat Nades Vincere, we beat FaZe Clan in front of everyone. And what do you see? You see Looking For versus TSM, and you're like, obviously TSM is gonna win. And then
obviously,
boom,
yeah, we have no idea who these guys are, yeah.
And then you're in the middle of the DreamHack Valencia. You see Looking For versus Navi, and then you see LFO won again, and then LFO versus FaZe Clan, LFO won again, and then it was just the best advertising we could have. And right there, we're in Valencia, we're in Spain. Oh, guess what? Giants Gaming is at Valencia, and they're watching and they're looking for. They see us, and then we had that meeting with Giants, and we end up joining them.
This is back when Giants Gaming was still a Spain primarily focused organization. The team that they went to that DreamHack Valencia with last year, it actually had what was it? It was Polo and Barraz, who were actually the 2 guys who would stand in for Ninjas in Pajamas at the Tokonami LAN when they had their whole issue with visas. But this is the Giants Spain team. Before they did anything to really enter Pro League, I think they were still middling in a couple of European leagues at that point, like the Spanish nationals. But they had a team at DreamHack were they in your group again? I think they were.
Yes, we played against Giants.
Yeah,
and
okay.
If you want, okay, I'm just gonna tell you something. That's 2 sentences, okay?
Okay.
We played DreamHack Valencia. We beat Giants. Giants picked us up. Hello, you.
Hello.
I'm in the middle of an interview.
Good.
All right. I'm gonna restart now.
For the love of Christ, Lawson.
Because he went behind me. Okay, so
That's okay.
we're in DreamHack Valencia. We win against Giants. Giants picked us up. We played Japanese finals versus Iron Wolf. Iron Wolf beats us. Giants beats Iron Wolf. We just found it funny. It was funny.
The whole philosophy behind the Giants organization seems to be if you can't beat them, just pick them back up, just hire them, right? Because that happened literally twice, and they didn't even have a pro league or like a PL caliber roster back when they played you at Valencia, and then they go from having none to over the span of like the next 3 or 4 months, then having 2 of them. Like that's a really weird expansion storyline, but it's pretty cool nonetheless, honestly.
Yeah, so I'm gonna move on to go on the rally major. And rally major, we actually beat EG, we beat NIP, we got out of groups after losing to SSG on the first round, and then we win. Like I said, EG and NIP, we got out of groups. We play against fours, and it's one of the most one-sided match of rally. Like we get stomped by fours in quarterfinals.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was a really, really hard loss, just like the Six Invitational 2019, just like Milan Pro League finals. Every time we're just like, it feels really, really bad to lose every time.
Yeah.
And at that point, I remember we took 2 weeks off, and after that we had a boot camp in Andalusia in some of the facilities in Spain of Giants. And I go there and I have this meeting with the staff where they tell me, you didn't have a really good performance in rally. We all had a bad performance in rally,
sure.
So we all need to step up. So I remember that meeting was, really important, because it was like, okay, it's been 3 first round, it's been 3 bad results in majors in a row. We all have to step up. All right. So now I had that meeting, and then the season, the Pro League season starts, and starts back because it's the half season.
Right.
And I've had one of the worst. I'm not in the same shape as I was when I first joined. I had really good stats when I joined in season 9. Even for a support player, like I brought a lot of rounds back in terms of clutches, or remember the 1v1 with Clash, or the 2v5 versus Empire when I'm playing in the smoke on Clubhouse in basement. I had some highlights in season 9, and over that I think I was really consistent as a player over there, as a support player.
Sure.
And in season 10 I wasn't playing the same. I wasn't at the same level, that's for sure, and I won't debate it. I'd say I was more and more getting they always told me you have to play for the team. This is a team game, so you play for the team, right?
Right.
And I was the arbiter and the anchor, so I had to play for the team as much as I could. And I think I dipped way too much into playing for the team, so much that I ended up like almost never playing. I was always on my drones, always gathering information, whether it's in attack or in defense, whether it's on Echo, Maestro, or whether it's on Outreach. I was always droning. And the big problem with that is that when you're always droning, and when you only get off your drones either to plant and die, or either to try and win some gunfights, because you play less and less gunfights, you're less and less confident in your gunfight skills, in the fact that you're gonna win your gunfight. And because I was getting less and less confident, we could see that my stats were going worse and worse. And on top of that, I had one of the players in the team being really disrespectful to me, and he had multiple meetings with the team, with the staff, to tell him, you have to stop being disrespectful to ALPHAMA, because he's already having confidence issues, and you're adding on top of that.
Yeah, that's not a good 1-2 punch. I mean, even if it wasn't a confidence issue thing, still being like a dedicated, like hard support player like that just means that if you're on drones half the round or 3/4 of the round, you're just not going to be in a position to get, frags or be in those clutch positions, like regardless. You're going to be, hanging back 90% of the time, like kind of waiting for something to happen or wait for your moment to push in, but it's everyone else's job to try to capitalize on the intel that you can provide. And if you're in the back, not, being nearly as present as some of the other guys, I can see how that is already kind of frustrating for you.
Yeah, and like because my criticism had always been you have to play for the team, and if you play for the team and if you do your job, you're never gonna get dropped, right?
Right.
And I kept with that same philosophy, like, hey, you know what, like you have to be really full of strengths, full of mental strength to not crawl under pressure, because you see that you have the worst stats on your team. You see that there are some people on Twitch chats for Twitter that are just like, criticizing your level, even though I have to say that I feel blessed because it seems like I'm beloved by the community.
It does seem like it, yeah.
It seems like people are, even if I have a bad day or if I'm not doing good, like supporters won't be mad at me, and that's something like they are not that kind to many players, and that really feels great. So I didn't have much negative comments, outside of games, but just knowing that one player at least, and maybe other players in my team, didn't respect me as a player or didn't think I had the level at that time to play with them. Yeah. That really, I think, one of the most important obstacle to me building my mental strength, and that really ended up like costing me really bad stats, really bad behavior in game, not behavior, really bad performance in game.
Okay.
And I'd say that was the consequence of multiple causes: personal problems, not living a healthy lifestyle, and
it's a big one.
And also, what I told you about, internal problems in the team. And we arrive in Japan Pro League finals, being the French champions. We just won LAN a few days before. Right. We're in a good mood, and then we play against Wolf, and we lose 2-1 in a very, very tense match. They were playing extremely well, extremely aggressive, winning every gunfight. It was really, really, really,
They were absolutely the underdogs that whole thing, even though they had wild card right there. Like both APAC teams, I think were definitely at like the bottom of everyone's cards. So yeah, to say that everyone was really expecting a Giants victory at that stage is kind of an understatement, because it's really difficult to see them winning. But they pull it out. Was it 2-1 or 2-0? I don't remember.
It was 2-1, and it was 2-1, like 8-6, something like that. It was really close.
Yeah.
And basically, from my point of view, like it really seemed like they told us they practiced 3 weeks only prepping for us. They practiced 3 weeks to really counter-strat us and play around their bands.
Because they knew the matchup a good 3 to 2 weeks beforehand, so they had plenty of time to just prep on one team. Yeah.
Exactly, and I'm gonna touch up on this later, but I'm gonna say that we didn't practice at all for them. We didn't counter-strat. We only prepped the bands, the map bands, and the operator bands. That's all we practice. Okay. Even though I'm saying operator bands, but I think that they banned Maestro, and we practiced Maestro fully the month before. Like we never practiced without Maestro. I remember when they banned my operator, I was like, okay, what do I play? We didn't practice without this operator, So it's kind of I feel like we didn't prep something else than operator bans and map bans. That's it. While they made clear counter-strats for us for 3 weeks. And they were playing extremely well too. Like, I don't know if you saw the gunfight, but they were...
No, I saw the gunfights, yeah. I had to get up at a really ungodly hour to catch the games live, but I definitely saw what they were doing. It was insane.
Oh, yeah. They were hitting, like, amazing shots. They're very talented players. So anyway, let's dive into it. Let's talk about what happens after the match.
Yeah,
there is our full time in Japan. We're being followed by a team of journalists that are making a documentary on us that's now live on YouTube and free to watch.
It was it a team of journalists from the Giants specifically to do that, or was that?
It's the new TV from Ubisoft, GTV, called GTV on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
It's in French and German, and these guys were hired by Ubisoft to make a documentary on us during Tokoname, and the documentary is live on YouTube. So if you want to go pick up this sequence, it's the last few seconds of the video. And we're all in that. I'm actually gonna send you the link so you can picture exactly what's happening.
Yeah, for real. And for anybody who's watching this point in the interview, I will drop a link to this in the description, and feel free to timestamp it as well, so that we all have an idea of what's going on here. No media today. Take a break, like I said. Let's go back to the hotel, take a shower, rest for a bit, have a deep breath and stuff, and let's meet together a bit later. Right? Okay.
Exactly what he said. All right.
Got it.
So the real story is Did that meeting ever happen, or was I part of it or not? I was never part of this meeting. I remember being alone in my hotel room, feeling extremely bad about the loss.
Were you in like separate hotel rooms, so you didn't know that they had left for the meeting?
All right, so Tokonami was special because we had single rooms. So every player had one room for himself. So where I was in my hotel room alone, and I know that Rob said that we're gonna meet later tonight and speak. Probably speak about the loss, speak about what we want to do for the next season, speak about what like the future, what we want to do, the off season. Blah blah blah, and I want to eat. I'm starving. All right.
Yeah.
And because before the match I was too stressed, I couldn't eat, so I was starving. And I'm basically alone in my room, and then I'm waiting for that message that's gonna tell me like, all right, let's meet up at this place and we go to it together, right?
Okay.
And I've been waiting for 3-4 hours, like really feeling worse and worse in my bed, and
like
I sent a message
3 to 4 hours after he tells you we're going to do a meeting later. Like you're still waiting, like after that point, 3 to 4 hours later.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And it's not the first time that happens. Like in really major, when we lose, like the full time, like I'm just trying to find people from the team, to hang with them and like share the loss together, and
Right,
that's my way of doing it. I like to do it as a team, and everyone has his own way of.
You like to cope together with the guys that you lost with because it's better for you to do it, as a unit than separately. I get it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and that everyone handles his defeat, his loss, different in different way. And sure. I remember in really like spending a few hours alone because they weren't there, and that happens again in Tokonami. And I know that we have a meeting at the night, and I still don't know when we're gonna have that meeting. We're already in the evening. I'm starving, and I'm like, I send messages on the team WhatsApp group, and I say, when are we meeting? To like where do we go? When are we eating together? And everyone views my messages, no one answers, and at that point I really start feeling bad. I have a bad feeling because I'm like, why is no one answering me? What's going on? And I don't know if that meeting ever happened. I don't know if that was the meeting that decided I was getting dropped. I have no idea. But I felt like at that time that was the flip. That was the moment I knew, all right, they're not answering. They may have, spoke together, and they may be speaking right now together without me to speak about my drop. And we go on the Sunday. Nobody tells me anything because that's kind of the rule in that team. When you took the decision of kicking someone after an event, you let him finish the event properly and enjoy the event, and then you tell him when he's at home. So no harm in that. We just traveled back from Japan to France on the Monday. And then I arrive on the Monday evening, I go to sleep, I wake up on a Tuesday, and Tuesday first message I see is, can you come on TeamSpeak please? I arrive on TeamSpeak, it's around, 1 p.m., 2 p.m.
Yeah.
There is Krapel, Rise, the captain, Krapel the coach, and Rob's the manager, and they explain to me that I'm being dropped because they want to bring someone new into the team, and they have this high-profile player they want to pick up that on the paper looks better than me, especially because of my stats, but it seems very hard for me that I don't see the transfer happening with that guy. He's been wanted by many other players, many other teams, and he's never been picked up just because his organization is blocking the transfer. So I feel like no, they're not gonna pick up this guy, and what's happening then? And then I see other profiles on that list. I can guess it. And other profiles, which one was one of these profiles, one of these players that could replace me possibly. Sure. And they explain why I'm being dropped. So I'm like, guys, like you're telling me right now that I didn't have enough performances because players in the team don't trust that I should be in the team right now. But I've always sacrificed my own performance and my own let's say light as a gamer, as a pro gamer, my own, being on stage, to be the guy behind, the guy on drones, the guy sacrificing himself for the information gathering, for the team interaction, for the player interaction. I've always been that guy. That's the concrete of that. I was the guy unifying that, and I felt like I was doing my job in information gathering. I felt like I was doing my job in communication. I've always had, and they will never say against it, I've always had a really good working attitude. A big part of the strategies in defense were made by me as a player, which isn't needed because usually it's part of the staff, but I was doing it because I loved it. Sure. So I was doing some extra work too. I would watch my VOD as a player to progress. So I was buying in, and I was having the best attitude I could have towards this. But they were like,
you were putting your foot forward, doing a little extra work. You were trying to like take one for the team if you needed to because of the role that you were playing, that kind of stuff. So like you, from your perspective, were definitely like putting in enough work, in some cases more than enough work, to justify like continuing to like remain on this team, or like say, hey, I'm very clearly doing my job. I don't know like what's going on. But they like in that TeamSpeak call said that because of your stat performance, and because there was somebody else on the outside that they wanted to bring in, that they thought removing you was the right option?
So they didn't really speak about my stats and my performance. From my opinion and my point of view, that's what I'm going to tell you. Okay. I think that they knew that I was a very hardworking guy. They knew that I was young. And they also knew that they were the guys that made me progress so much from the first season.
Sure.
And they were like, right now you're reaching a ceiling. You have a mental obstacle that's preventing you to progress. You're struggling. You're having bad results. You're not performing like you were. And on the other hand, we have that profile player that we'd like to go to see come in the team, because we're so disappointed in all these disappointments in these LAN results. It's been 4 majors, a major tournament, 2 Pro League finals, 2 majors that we get first rounded. We need a change. We need something to happen. And in our opinion, we think that you are struggling and reaching a ceiling with our team. And I think that we think that if you join another team, you're gonna breach that ceiling. But with us, you're stuck. You're struggling. That's what they were telling me. Okay. And I perfectly understand their point of view, because, like I told you, because of multiple things, the reasons I spoke about earlier,
right,
I was struggling and I wasn't progressing anymore, and I was even like decreasing in level. And so that made sense to me. What didn't make sense to me is that, in my opinion, what happened to Curry when he joined is that we recruited him as an entry fragger and it didn't work out. And we changed roles. We put Rise as an entry fragger and Curry went to support flex. And
were you not offered the same opportunity to make a switch?
At that point, I wasn't offered an opportunity to make a switch. I didn't ask for it because I was like, I know that players in that team don't want to play with me anymore. So why should I force myself to stick in the team that doesn't want me anymore to go in another role?
Right.
And see, I really, sometimes I thought like, what would have happened if I told them, all right, swap with Rise. Rise is going to be in Harbridge, because Rise is an excellent Harbridge and is going to be excellent on every role. Rise is just, I don't know how he does it. He's just excellent on every role.
Sure, yeah.
Let's just swap Rise, put him on Harbridge, and put me in entry fryer like I am in eUnited currently. And I think it's working well. And I didn't have I think I didn't have the mental strength at that time to recognize myself. I didn't see myself as good as I see myself now. I think I was, my mental, my confidence was really at one of the lowest points, especially when they had, people that I always looked up to as big brothers and people that as mentors, they're telling you that they don't want you in the team anymore. It's always hurting a lot. And especially when you already have mental problems, in terms confidence problems.
Right.
So, I think that was the main reason, like the fact that I knew that some players didn't want to play with me anymore, and I knew that they had a better profile in mind, and that if I was gonna say I want a role swap, they wouldn't buy in that new project as a team. I think they didn't want to give me that chance. And I really felt hurt by the fact that even with all the amount of work I was, bringing into the team, everything I had done for the team, I didn't have the chance for a role swap. I told them I think there's better solutions than that, but they already took their decision. So I wasn't gonna fight against it by giving my opinion or my decision for the team, because they weren't ready to hear it.
Yeah, you weren't pulled into a discussion to figure out what your next step was. They were pulling you in to tell you that you were done, basically.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and even though I had my own vision of what could have been the team and what could have fixed the issues,
right,
I guess that they weren't ready as a team to hear it, or they weren't thinking that was the right vision as a team. So even though I would propose it, I don't think they would have accepted it. I think I'm gonna speak more about this vision, because I think that's the main reason why we didn't perform in LANs. So I'm gonna say that
good way to transition out of the backstory into a little bit more about why the whole team wasn't doing well. So I mean, just kind of as like one recap, that's a first round at the Milan finals. That's second place in 2 straight minors at both Allied and at DreamHack. That's first round in the quarterfinals, but you made it all the way through groups to quarterfinals at Raleigh at that point, and then first round of the Tokonami finals. So it looks like there's something that seems like it's working. And this is also just to say that's either a first or second place finish in both of the Pro League seasons that would lead to the Pro League finals events. So everything that's happening in there's a track record of success. There's an online track record. Something is working right. You said it yourself. You had to get to the Allied minor by playing in the online qualifier before even getting to Las Vegas in the first place. So it's not to say that everything is completely off kilter, but I think I can also kind of understand a little bit of the team rhetoric in that sense of if we're having this pattern of doing well but then falling short like right at the very end, almost like we're kind of turning into like an evil geniuses, so to speak, for Europe, and that we can get all the way to the event but we just can't win it big at any point, without making grand finals, obviously. Then at some point we need to make an adjustment, and from their perspective I can understand the reasoning for it. Like you even said it yourself, like that's a reason that you can like understand and respect, but it still stings. So it's like, what do you do?
So if I had to sum up, I'd say you also first round in 6 Invitational 2019,
right.
First round in Milan Pro League finals, first round in the quarterfinals in Raleigh Major, first round in Tokonami Japan Pro League finals. And both seasons, obviously, we qualify as number 2 in Europe, and we're always very, very, very consistent online. So the real question is, why is Rogue that consistent online and that inconsistent inland, right?
Right.
What's not working? So first, you have to understand it's a different format. You're playing BO1s that you can prep 1 week in advance in Pro League.
Right.
You're playing BO3s. You're playing BO3s online with different sound, different screens, different different attitude and more pressure because there is a crowd in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So based off what I think was the main reasons were, first reason, our preparation sucked. In my opinion, we had a really bad preparation for LAN events. I think that now that I'm in a team that really does a lot more prep work, I'd say that we didn't play Pro League matches like we were playing our first match when we were coming in events. If you look at our first match in every single event, we struggled so hard. We struggled so hard playing well in our first match, just because we couldn't fight our foot. What made Giants or Rogue or LeStream or LFO so consistent online was the team play, the interaction between players. We were able to overcome any issue in game. There's a barrier here, there's an evil eye here, there's a castle here. The utility management was great. We would get rid of it instantly online. The player interaction, I'm going to flash for you here, I'm going to smoke for you here, I'm going to nade for you here, I'm going to play for you here, I'm going to bait for you here. All these little player interactions that make a team so good online and that made our team so good at adaptability, we couldn't represent it online. I think that online, we weren't playing as a team, we're playing at 5 players individuals. I don't know why, I don't know what the reason behind that, but the level of player interaction was super low compared to online. So, in my opinion, we weren't playing as a team as much online. So that's the first reason.
Okay.
Second reason, like I told you, we weren't preparing our first matches, our first matchups. We weren't preparing it enough. We would only do ban maps and operator bans. And even with that, we would for the first, the last days of preparation before the game, we would still be playing maps that we knew we weren't going to play during the matchup in front of us. So in my opinion, we didn't practice hard enough these first matchups, because if you always struggle going in the tournament, if you're always struggling for your first matchup, why don't you prepare it so much that you're sure you're going to win it and then you're in the tournament and you found your foot? We're so good at being adaptable anyway. We're so good at adaptation anyway. So why don't we prep something very heavily for the first match, and then we can adapt. If it doesn't work, we can adapt for the second matchup. It's all right, as long as we get into the tournament with the right fit, which was our problem. So bad preparation, in my opinion. And then third reason, and that could have been, I don't know, it's not my job, but in my opinion, there was a mental problem also in the team when we were in LAN, because we didn't have the same behavior as a team in game. So what was the real reason? What was the mental reason behind that? And I think that's part of the staff to figure that. That's part of the coach problem to figure that. And I thought that maybe we didn't do enough exercises or enough workshops around that subject to find what was the real mental reason behind our disappointments in LANs.
More like you guys didn't have a whole bunch of like interpersonal chemistry, like when you were together as compared to when you were online. Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Well, what I'm getting at is that, like I told you, the main subject for me, the main reason, the main thing I saw that was different from online to online, from online to offline, right, was the player interaction in game. Okay. Was at a very low offline, and that was what made us very, very strong online. That always, that interaction, that always playing for the other thing, that made us win so many clutches, so many situation we shouldn't have won just because we were really bound as a team online.
Yeah.
Why did it fall apart online? That's a real question, and there is a mental problem here, I think, because when you see that we're so strong online and so bad offline, I think there is a reason. There is a mental reason somewhere here, and someone in the staff whose job is to make sure there is no mental problem in the team should have found what it was and gave us some exercise to try to find what was the problem. I know it's easy to say it, and it's not my job, so I can't really say what was the solution, but sure. I think that could have been a third bonus reason to help. But in my opinion, the two very, very easiest thing to work for were the first two. Just play as much together as much as you're online. Play as much together when you're offline, and prep better the games. That probably would have helped us a lot, I think.
How did bootcamp interactions go? I mean, when you guys are going through, you obviously mentioned you feel like you were like underprepared rather than over prepared going into an event. But even like not when you're not playing in the official matches themselves, like regardless of what event it's for, if you're bootcamping right before you go into it as a team, like did things feel off in that preparation personally, or did that really only happen like when you got to the event when you were playing in the official game for it?
So usually, even in the booth practice, in the event itself, we were wrecking everyone.
So you were doing really good in boot camp.
So wait, I'm not gonna say that.
Like you would do online, like not quite.
So when we were in boot camps, or when we were in boot camps, or when we were in the boot camps, the practice booth that there is in the LAN events.
Like at the event itself, okay, yeah.
At the event itself, so the boot camps at the event itself and the boot camps in whatever orgs facility we were in, we were always, having a good time and usually playing very well against the teams we were practicing to, okay. Especially in events. I remember Milan practice, we were playing super well in practice against Fnatic. I remember Six Invitational boot camps were doing really, really good against other really good teams there. Same for Rally, we were playing super well in practice against really good teams there. We're always super good in practice, and then when the matchup would come, we would lose that player interaction and lose that team play that met our strengths. We would panic, I guess.
Just kind of freeze up and not really know like how to translate that preparation into the game. It's just like, well, what do we do right now? Almost like it's a really harsh warm-up in a way. Like even you could go and like spend time in an aim trainer or in T-Hunt or just in something just to make sure that you feel confident, and then once you get in there, you actually start the game, you're like, oh shoot, what do I do, right?
Yeah, there was this weird vibe, this weird feeling, like everything felt things off, like the timing is always 1 second early or 1 second too late. There's always something that's when information hasn't been heard at that round and there's one player rages at that time, and then it brings the mood really low. And then at that point, from an inside point of view, when I was in game, I didn't like. Sometimes you could feel off, but I didn't feel like something was really going bad in games. I didn't feel like we were losing the game, or I didn't feel like we were getting, I didn't feel like I was playing any different than online. That was the main issue, like when you see the team results is so different, and yet you don't feel like you're playing differently than normal.
Sure.
It really was a problem there. But yeah, I'm not gonna extend too much on that. I think I told you like the three reasons that, in my opinion, are the three reasons why we didn't perform at that time when we were playing in events, and what were the solutions in my vision of the team. And how that vision never could have happened because the team wasn't ready and wanted me out of the team.
So then after you finish up with that TeamSpeak call, you're obviously LFT, you got to wait for the Giants to go through and make an announcement about any of that stuff. What's your process right after the kick to try and see if you can't like look for other work in another Europe organization? What eventually takes you from the Giants to North America? What's that transition like?
First, like, you have to understand, like, we're making that change at the end of the transfer period because we're doing it after Pro League finals, and the transfer period opens at the end of the Pro League season. So a lot of EU transfer were already made at that time.
Okay.
And there was still space for me, but based off my statistics, based off my my bad statistics, and also based off the fact that many pros don't really think I'm a good player. At that time, they didn't really think I was a good player to pick up because I don't know if it's based off my statistics or not. Probably also based off my role. Like, I was playing a hard breacher role, and you know, I think for the pros I was kind of seen as the guy that, you know, is getting carried by his team based off the stats.
Sure, yeah.
So I wasn't interesting enough for Pro League teams. They'd rather pick up Challenger League upcoming players with a lot of, you know, good statistics. It's funny, you know. G2 picked up Cran and Rock ended up picking Rips, that both were, you know, playing super well, having super great stats in Challenger League for Orgles at that time.
Yeah.
And Hungry got picked up off Pentara, was going in Challenger League. So there were some, you know, some big shakes, but no, I wasn't contacted by anyone to play.
You weren't part of the
EU
conversation at that point, yeah.
No. And I had some offers in Challenger League, but you know, like, if you want to speak like straight after the kick, I was just like, I called my family, I called my friends, I told them that I lost my job, I told them that I was benched, so I could have decided to stay on the bench, and, you know, like, get a salary of a sub player and just stay there and wait for an opportunity. I got also obviously offers from other pros that were, you know, former pros that were making free agents team. And I was waiting for the right opportunity to come up, and I spent these 3 days in my apartment in France, wondering, like, should I leave my apartment? Should I give up the keys because I may not have the money to pay the rent? Should I look for college courses? Should I, like, stop thinking about being a pro player? What's gonna happen? Like,
right, you go through all the mental cycle just trying to figure out what your next step is. But I mean, at that point, you can't, like, cancel out an opportunity, right? Like, it could be you're looking for a different job, you're going to class, anything. If you leave everything on the table, and then you can kind of, like, look through it and be like, okay, one of these things is right. What am I gonna do?
And like you know, at the third day, I'm like, okay, all right, you're gonna live through this. You're gonna look through all the solution, and you're gonna find the best one for you. And I'm like, all right, first thing you're gonna do is that you're not gonna disappear. You're not gonna be benched, and then nobody hears of you because you're not active on social medias and shit. You wanna be a pro player or not? Okay, you wanna be a pro player. All right, then you're going to show yourself. You're going to stream every day. You're going to get a consistent schedule. You're going to get a healthy lifestyle. You're going to become a better player and going to get picked up and show everyone else that they should have picked you up. That's exactly the mental I had. And
good stuff.
I started streaming every day. I was consistent in what I was eating. I was consistent in my sports sessions. I was consistent everywhere. And that really improved my mental state. That really improved my gameplay, my level. And then
great, yeah.
Out of nowhere, then this eUnited offer comes through, and I'm like, all right, you're gonna be able to play in American Pro League if you make everything right. And I was like, hey, like, I remember watching, like, the Obey VODs, watching them execute, like, in 20 seconds, dropping off Freezer, dropping off Skylight on Cafe during a Challenger League match, and seeing them, like, smoking all the angles and executing like this. I was like, this guy playing CS or what? What's going on? And like, I remember I was like, wow, they must have a great in-game leaders. And like, then I saw Grixer clutch so many clutches. I saw Forrest getting a 4K with the pistol of Castle, and I was like, these guys are really talented. Like, they have some great potential. It would be amazing to play with them and to go back to also players that have the same age as me, that are gonna, you know, be a respectful bunch of lads, like they would call themselves.
Yeah.
And you know, like, I just came in out of nowhere and like had this offer and had these meetings with them on Discord, and I was like, you know what, like let's 100% go for it. I'm 19 years old. I'm gonna be able to travel in an ocean, across an ocean, live in another country, try to improve my English because my English sucks. These kind of things, and I was like, that's amazing. I'm gonna go for it 100%. At that time, I canceled every other offers. I told everyone that I had a transfer going through. Giants and United got along on the price. I got bought, and then I got purchased, and now we started all the visa process and the lawyers, and then the giving up the apartment, the papers in France, because I had a company in France that I needed to release. Like, I had so many things to do.
The whole process, for and you're the one doing most of the work in that case too, because everyone else is already back in the US. They've got their paperwork sorted, but you've got international interests that you've got to sort through. There's a whole visa to get. ESL's got to approve the transfer and all that stuff. Like, you must have been really busy.
I was extremely stressed because, you know, like the timeline was really, really close. Like, I remember the transfer period, like maybe I remember 3 or 4 days before the transfer period ends, I was on the phone with David, the head manager for Giants and director of Esport, and he was the one handling the negotiations for my price, and I was on the phone with him, and I was like, bro, like, I need you to help me, like, I need to be sure that this transfer is going through, like, and obviously David is a really, really good guy, and he made everything possible so that it could get along on a price, and then at that point I knew that when United purchased me, they could then go to ESL and make the transfer go through.
Right.
That went through like maybe 1 day before the end of the transfer period. So I was like this. That was really, really close.
The whole time waiting for them to approve? No way. Oh, dude.
Yeah, that was really close. And then at that point, I was like, all right, Leo, what do you have to do? Well, you have many things to do. Then eUnited really did a great job. Like they sent me to lawyers. They explained me everything I had to do. Then for all the French paperwork about my company, about my apartment, about all the stuff, I have the chance of having the best family I could ever had. Like they're just super, super supportive.
Nice.
So my father came with this truck, and like we literally moved out my apartment 3 months after moving in with him.
Wow.
And we did that 4 times in 1 year, by the way. He helped me 4 times in 1 year because of Esport. And
that's great, dude.
Now my childhood bedroom is full of unnecessary stuff that were full of my apartment. Like I have bar chairs, I have tables, everything is in my bedroom, but at least I don't have an apartment in France anymore. My company is posed in France. My taxes in France are arranged. I have a health insurance, French health insurance that covers me abroad. So like I had to go through all these paperwork. So
many
in
transfer
France.
Papers to I get it.
It was crazy. I think I'm still paying for the internet of my French apartment, even though I think I forgot this.
They just lock you into a weird contract, just like, hey, you're still paying for it like 3 months after you're gone.
Yeah, I think I logged in my French bank account like a few weeks ago, and I was like, well, I'm still paying for the internet in my apartment? Like, what? Yeah.
You left so quick, and you had to do it so fast. There's just some things you just forget, like in the middle of it, going,
literally, like in 1 week and a half, I stopped my company, gave up my organized my my lease to leave the apartment. Took all my stuff out, cleaned everything, moved in my parents' house in my childhood bedroom. That I didn't go there like since 3 years because I left my parents at 17 years old. So like I was wow, so many things to do.
You were trucking, with all that stuff just to make sure that you had a spot. But you only did all that after you knew you had the spot secured. So at that point, that would have been like Obey would have already qualified with the 5 players that they had, and that was when Fozo, Nab, and I were still on Obey Alliance. But then Yeti, I'm assuming Yeti was the one who got the offer for eUnited first, and then you were kind of like people were like looking to see who all they could grab as a 5th, and then you were asked for that, or how did that process work?
So I remember that I remember the drama leak of the move happening with Rogan, between Rogan and Obey, and all that thing. That was really complex.
Yeah.
So
for context, if anyone doesn't know, just to make sure we have this like prefaced, Rogue was relegated at the back end of Challenger or at Pro League for season 10. Obey Alliance was a Challenger League team in season 10 that had won their own relegation game, and they were now in. There was a whole deal on the table where it could have been like Rogue buying out the Obey roster, taking some of the current Rogue players at the time. This is like the North American roster with Easily and Vertical and Slash Hug and all those guys. And it was a weird merger deal. It didn't go through for a couple of different reasons, but there was already like some tension like within the Obey roster because that deal had been presented and some guys were considering it. So that roster had kind of already fractured, even though 5 players who had never been in Pro League before had just qualified for Pro League, and everyone's kind of trying to figure out what to do. So they bring in Yeti, and then at some point, at some point they had to grab you. They just had to grab our favorite French boy.
So like basically, from my point of view, I'm not gonna speak about the whole Rogue deal because that was before me.
No,
and
that's
like,
fine.
It's not. I'm not really concerned by this. What I was concerned about is that they had 2 spots to fill in, and they were wondering which guys to pick up. And Cole told me like he saw that I was free agent like everyone, because like once again like the community with me has been amazing. I remember my Twitter post like exploded in terms of retweets and likes and everything. Like people were so supportive. So everyone that was following the esports scene saw that I was a free agent. So thanks to the community about that.
Big ups to the community, yeah.
Exactly. So Call saw that because of this, and then because of this, he watched VODs of me playing, and he figured that he really liked my style and really liked the fact that I was always playing for the team. So he decided to bring me in, and then I remember like asking like, all right, but if this doesn't happen, like, you're still 4 players, like who's the 5th? And he told me about Yeti, and I was like, yeah, I know this guy because I played in the Allied Vegas Minor, and he was there with Disrupt. I remember it's the guy with the man bun. And then
he still had a ponytail back then,
and then I was like, okay, I know this guy. And then I go back, watch some Disrupt spots and watch him playing, and I was like, wow, okay, he's in
kind of a monster, right? Yeah.
Well, plus 50 kills in what?
He was like balling out that season of CL. It was a lot of fun to watch.
So I was like, okay, this roster looks really promising, and then I just like out of nowhere, like I remember speaking like with them, and like we were trying to figure out what was the solution for my accommodation here. Like where would I live? Which setup would I use? How would we do this with eUnited? And I remember Yeti was like, all right, I'm the older guy. I can do this. I can take this apartment. I can go through real estate, check if we can get a furnished apartment for us too.
He went through that whole process himself?
Alone, by himself, without anyone asking for it. And I was like, bro,
wow.
like this guy is just so.
That's
like,
awesome.
I don't know. That's awesome. And I just literally arrived in the US. Yeti is waiting for me in his car, and I just go in, and then they and his Nana was there too, because she's amazing too, and they welcome me to Christmas, and I'm basically part of their American family now, so I have a family here, so that's great.
Oh, you're gonna make me tear up. This is too wholesome, man.
And then they just drive me here, and then they tell me, all right, open the door, welcome home, and then there's just everything is set up. Like there's the table, there's the chair, there's your bedroom, there's the bathroom, there's the kitchen. It's ready. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
And that's really thanks to him. Like everything went smoothly. We went to the gym every day before the whole coronavirus was here. So we went to the gym every day. We had that rhythm of going outside, doing sports together, practicing together. Obviously, Reed was practicing at that time.
Right.
Or God, Reed, the CEO
our God,
of the
Reed,
Alda.
the headshot machine. We love the
headshot machine. Was practicing with them, so I was just listening to the comms, touching up on some strats, and just waiting for my time to go in, and then basically I secured my visa, and then at that moment I was like, whew, let's start, let's go.
The moment you could finally turn the car on, start revving the engines, and then go full force back into Siege, which at that point...
Oh, yeah.
How long of a break was that from when you were done with Giants to finally being able to play in the US? I'm trying to think of the timeline. That would have been...
Well, I got
November
kicked,
until...
Yeah, November to I started practicing in February. I got my visa in January.
Yeah. So that's
so that was 3 to 4 months.
Boy. To go from playing the game basically every day with a team and then having to go through this transition, that's got to be crazy. But at the very end of the whole thing, once you're finally let back in, Reed is formally let go at that point. He's now back on Disrupt Gaming, so good for him. His time with the team definitely was not wasted. It looked like it was a good addition, just while he was a stand-in. But while you're waiting to jump back into things, was it just you looking at what the team was doing, trying to figure out, were you trying to, I don't know, a co-coach almost in a sense? Because you had a coach back then, Execration was still with you guys, but you didn't have anything for you to do. You were just kind of there.
Yeah. I was just there, and I was at a sub role, so I was trying to help. I was on TeamSpeak during Pro League matches. If someone needed to calm down, I was telling him to calm down. I was trying to co-coach, help X, coach the team, give him some criticism, giving some personal work access. Hey, all right, I don't know, that's just an example. All right, Yeti, I see that you're overpicking in these late rounds. You need to stop doing that. Try to watch around yourself more. Trying to give criticism all right, about your communication. Here is an easy way to communicate more effectively without saying too many words, because English is your mother language. You need to make shorter sentences.
Right.
These kind of things. I was trying to bring in the experience I had in Giants to, still, even though I was only a sub, trying to make my team progress.
Sure.
And also, trying to feed myself from the identity of the team, so that when I go in, I could already be fitting in very well. So that was kind of my perspective, and I still had that vision of all right, even if you can't practice, you have to show everyone, you have to be there every day, you have to stream every day, you have to show everyone that you're still a good player. And you have to prove everyone wrong. That was really a driver. I say, when I got benched, that I was even when I joined in United, it's really funny. Some pro players didn't think I would know, but some pro players, the same pro players that were congratulating me and liking my tweets and saying how amazing it was that I got picked up by United publicly on Twitter, were the same that privately were talking behind my back and telling United they shouldn't pick me up. That kind of hypocrisy. I was it's not my kind to really go into drama. I never message back these guys, and I don't really mind. I will never tell the names, and I will never share the screenshot.
Don't worry.
I will just always say, that was your opinion, and I can understand why it was your opinion. I can understand why I wasn't interesting for pro league teams in Europe at that time.
Sure.
I seemed to be a really young guy that had bad statistics, confidence issues. I didn't look good on paper, and other players were looking better than me. That's fine. I understand it. All right, but then I'm going to show you that you're wrong, and I'm going to show you that I have potential. I'm going to show you that I can create content, be a pro player, be super invested in my team and make my team work and have results. That's what I want to prove you. And first you do that because you want to prove the others wrong, and then you figure out, well, that's for me that I'm doing it, so let's fucking do it for me, right? And that's been the thing that's been driving me the whole time. Now I'm just in the US trying to be a better player for my team, and trying to help my team reach the new heights that I hoped I could help them reach when I joined, basically.
Yep, the whole idea of haters being a bigger motivator than the guys who are supporting you, because you absolutely want to look at what they say about you, all the crap that they'll throw your way, and be like, nah, I don't think so. I think I can do better than what they're saying about me. It's such a really good motivator, and for you to tap into that initially, that's really, really good. But it's not like you just were doing the streaming and all that personal improvement beforehand, to prove them wrong. You're doing it for you. That way, you don't have that ceiling anymore. And I think it's interesting that you've managed to. You said it yourself. You didn't know back then that you were going to be nearly as good on entry, so you didn't go for you didn't offer up the idea. You didn't suggest it. But now that we're moving into this new phase, you've made a transition not just from a team, but you're on a completely different role than you were back when you signed with the roster. Like the eUnited announcement that came out on Christmas Day saying, hey, we've signed our first Siege org, says ALPHAMA'S on support. Not anymore, baby.
Yeah.
You're out here doing something completely different from normal. How the heck did you swing that?
The idea is simple. I was in a team that trusted me. My team trusted me 100%. My team respected me as a player. My team always has been supportive to me. All my teammates have been super welcoming. All my teammates have always been telling me that they're not telling you how good of a player you are. They're not telling you that.
Sure.
They make you feel like you have your place here.
Nice.
And that's the most important. And then after you feel like this in your team, you can play any role. Like they're just gonna feed you of confidence. Like they told me, all right, ALPHAMA, we're gonna try a role swap. We're gonna put you on Ash, and you're gonna play an untimely. I was like, all right.
Excuse me, what?
All right. Yeah, I mean, let's go. I will do anything.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. And then I was like, hey, but it's like when I was the droner, but this time I have a gun. Oh, that's great. and then like it worked. I think it's working well. I think I still need to find my foot. I tend to be, as any player that used to be in a passive role and is now in an aggressive role, I need to find the right balance between when to aggress, when to not aggress, when
Sure.
to take my gunfights, when to stop. There's a whole timing thing that I'm trying to try in practice about, can you get a timing when you get to a certain area at a certain time? When do you have to stop? When do you have to not stop? All these kind of things that I didn't really know when I was not an entry fragger. I still need to figure it out.
Right.
But it's an easy process. It's taking time. We're in the off season. I'm gonna get through this before the season starts, and then I'm gonna be trying to play as consistent as possible in this new role. And if they want me back in Hardbridge later, I will go back to Hardbridge. I hope, like, without any problem. As long as my team respects me and show me respect, I will be 100% for them.
That's just making everybody on EU sound like 10,000 times tighter and way better than I think maybe some people in like North America can kind of give you guys credit for. It's like, well, you're all, like, not the odd man out, but like the way that you guys play, the way that your style will differentiate from everybody else. It's almost kind of like you said it when you looked at the Obey VODs to start with. It's a smash and grab style. It's not this like same conventional way of you play in North America, because you have teams like DZ that strat and play like in their books and in their just the way that they prepare for games so much that the way that you guys do it is almost a completely like drastic comparison, but you're still finding a way to make it work, and it's just making everybody on that team seem like they have like the utmost confidence in you and the utmost confidence in each other. So I'm not hearing anything bad about this. Like,
yeah,
this almost seems too good to be true for how well this seems to have worked, other than the Pro League Season 11 result, like record-wise.
Well, yeah,
like
if you look at the record, it's not looking good at all, right? We could do so much more. We could do so much better, and there was really some tense game. But I just feel like if you wanna try to innovate, if you wanna try to have a new playstyle that's gonna seem inconsistent to everyone else that's been at the heights of Pro League before,
right.
They're gonna say, well, you're way too much aggressive. You're gonna get punished half of the time, and half of the time is gonna work, and that's gonna make you an inconsistent team. You're relying on gunfights, and what happens the day you're not in a good shape and you don't win your gunfights? Then you're gonna lose. That's make you inconsistent.
Yep.
All right. Like I've been through a team that was really known for its adaptability and that was playing at a top tier level, so I know exactly what it takes to be playing with full adaptation and trying to be consistent. I know how hard it is to call an attack just on the fly and have every flank set up, have every drone set up, have every entry being droned, every zone taken without over-aggression, and every setup and execution perfectly executed. That's something that's really hard to do. I know from where I come from, I know what it takes to go there. And I know that if you look at our past results, it didn't look really good, but I can tell you that if we could keep going in the same path, if we keep experimenting, and if we keep being patient with ourselves and keeping the core together, all the 5 players, and progressing together, at one point, it's going to pay. And I don't care if people are saying it's inconsistent now. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, all right. But we're still learning. It's practice. We're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning that it's inconsistent. We're learning how to make it consistent. And then the day when we will learn it and you didn't because you didn't want to practice or you didn't take the same lessons out of practice, then we might do the team beating you because we understood something you didn't. It's just the way it works. And I think like we've been trying, to experiment things and have a very particular game style that's our identity. And if we just build the consistencies around that identity, there's no way it wouldn't work.
And I think especially when you've got like the only positive thing about this, or sorry, the very positive thing is the LAN League, which is a place where you guys are only going to be able to keep on increasing that team chemistry and working on, how your personalities are going to mesh, like how everything is going to eventually come together. And you almost could use season 11 of Pro League kind of as like a test case, because there wasn't relegations to worry about. We're going to be transitioning into this new thing. So if you wanted to throw different strats at the wall, if you wanted to try a different method of really anything, if it's a site take, if it's a defense, just the way in which you play the game, there isn't that added pressure of worrying about placing in 7th or 8th place. You have the freedom to go through and like do more of what you need. And you already knew, like, going in, like, even in a loss, I'm sure you guys probably still felt good because you have basically as much time as you need, and whatever methods you want to try out, you have the space to do it. Like, that had to have felt like super freeing compared to when you're in Europe. You have that added pressure of always being number 1 or number 2 in online play, and you have these LAN performances, and like every time you go to LAN, you're like, oh, okay, here we go again, it might not work out. But you're heading to a LAN League now in what seems like a really good headspace. I'm legitimately trying to find a downside to this, and I'm having a hard time. What's the big catch to this whole eUnited thing for you? How is is it the transition from France over to US, language barrier, citizenship, anything like that, or is it something totally different?
You mean the negative points I could see of this move?
Yeah.
Well, I'd say it's pretty obvious for me. It's personal reasons. It's just that I've always been really close to my family and my friends, and when I was living in my last location in France, I was renting an apartment for myself.
Yeah.
That was literally like 20 minutes by foot to any of my friends in the city, and we would just like, in my off day, we would hang out together. They would come to the apartment, and I would have a great time of a normal young guy from my age, with other students.
Right.
I was living a life that, in this off day, I was living a life that I should have lived if I was just a student, and if I was doing what I don't want to say just a student. That really seems fucking all right.
It seems lame, right? Let's
remove it. Yeah, that seems lame. That's not what I meant, because like I would probably be a student if I wasn't playing games, and there are students too, and they're amazing people. So I would just say, like,
you're not trying to knock them by saying that. I understand. Yeah.
I'm just saying that when I was back in France, I had all my friends and my family close to me, and I got used to it. And I felt really good. That felt really good. Yeah. And I loved that. And now that I'm in the US, I can't see them anymore. And I see them only like one time every 3 or 6 months. And now I don't know how many months because of the coronavirus, but I'm stuck here. Yeah. I'm stuck here for a month and a month, and that's the only downside for me, is that I don't have my dog so close to me, I don't have my family so close to me, I don't have my friends so close to me.
Yeah.
They're in my heart, but they're far away, and that's kind of the only thing that really is a downside for me. So that's why it's really important for me during the off season that I can get a week to see them and then come back here.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And be refreshed. But because of the coronavirus, I couldn't do it during this off season. So there is this big question mark. So when am I going to be able to do it? And it's really important for me to not focus on that and focus on my work with the team, so that I can, just deep into something that I like, so my brain is focused and I don't feel bad about this. And there is a second thing, and I think that's something that every people that leave a country and arrive in a foreign country experiment. It's that we call that, like, it's like you have the first weeks where you're like in a honeymoon period, you love the country and you're experimenting all the good things. Mm-hmm. And then slightly, like, it's going down like this, and then you arrive to a point where you hate the country you're in.
It sucks. I hate the US. This is so bad.
And then you just see everything positive about your foreign country, and you don't see anything negative about it anymore, and just want to go back.
Right.
And then you get you reach that point, and at that point you're like, okay, let's stop being retarded. All right. Let's take a few steps back and see what's positive about what's positive about the US, and then you slightly get, you adapt yourself, and you get to know more and more things that are gonna make you like the country where you're in, and you're gonna get used to it. The only thing is, I didn't plan on having the whole coronavirus thing doing that and stopping me from experimenting the cool thing about the US. So I'm kind of in the middle of, I'm finding my foot in the US. I just need, to see other things, try to play baseball, try to play cricket. I don't know. Just try American things, American football. Even though I'm like this, like I don't know. I just need to try some American things. Go see a match of NBA. Go watch a match of NBA. Go watch a match of NFL. I don't know. Just
find a way to get a little bit more of the Americano style over here, so that you can ingrain yourself more. You get more because most of the culture, I'm sure, that you've gotten to experience is it's probably. I'm in front of my computer, I'm talking to my team, and it doesn't, in the gym before COVID hit. That was probably most of what you were able to do. And then once that happens, it's you could, you're in Kentucky, you could have drove to another state close by, found, any sporting event and gone and done that and figured out what that was like over here. I totally get it. That's got to be a really nice honeymoon period, and you're like, dude, this is really cool. And then I just want to go home. I just want to remember what home is like. So, but hey.
But I have to say, Yeti really helped a lot. He's the one that, brought me outside, welcomed me in his family. I had family meetings, family dinner. That was great. Yeah. That I'm not alone in front of a computer all the time. That's what I mean. He's really taking care of me like a brother. And that's really cool.
Great,
because it's great. I also a third thing I'd say, I lost kind of my independence because I was used to ride my bike in France, and I could do the groceries by myself, do everything by myself, rent the apartment for myself, drive by myself. I can't do that here anymore, so I need to pass my driver license here.
Right.
So that's just a thing that I think is going to also make it easier. So when I'm going to have my American driver license, it's going to be easier for me to, be more independent and still go out even more.
Yeah. No, I think you're definitely still kind of in a transition period right now. It hasn't fully settled in yet. You don't completely feel as comfortable as you could, but that's just because, we're in the middle of something that's never happened before. Yeah. So it's not even something you can blame yourself for, but you're still I want to blame something, and I just can't do anything until this passes over. But hey, you've already kind of proven, I think, just through the course the past hour, that whole mental block thing, the part where you aren't really sure what's happening in your own head, you've got the work ethic, and if nothing else, you have the confidence in yourself that you can go through and get all of this done. It was on the table for you to go and do something else after Giants dropped you. It was 100% on the table for you. But you still said, I'm going to stick in the scene, I'm going to make sure that I make a name for myself, and I'm going to do what I can to make sure people don't forget me and get back to a pro level of play. How I do it, I don't know, but you still made the call right there and went, I'm not going to let it take me down.
Yeah, that call that I made, I'd say that's the moment where I knew that I finally overcome the obstacle in my head. I finally figured why are you putting this pressure to yourself? Why are you trying to put a ceiling in your level? Why are you trying to prevent yourself from being the player you should be? And at that point, that kick from Giants really it broke everything, and it was the punch I needed to finally wake up and you can be that player. It's all right. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And that really helped me through. And I just want to say I have no bad feelings about Rogue
sure.
at all. They are really good friends of mine, and I was really disappointed of seeing that the role change they made didn't bring more consistency in LAN when I saw their result in the 6 Invitational 2020.
Right.
But on the other hand, they're Pro League champions.
That's a good point.
Of Europe.
Yeah. They made it at the very end.
They're still really consistent online, and I really wish for them that they're gonna find now that Krepel left, maybe they're gonna find, I don't know, someone else in the staff that can really help them finally find this consistency.
Yeah.
Offline, and maybe one of the reasons I said maybe prepping more of the games is gonna help them. I don't know, but I really wish them to succeed. I want to see Rise lift an international trophy before he retires. That's something I want to see in my life.
That'd be great. Even though you and I both don't want to dive too much into the drama-heavy aspects of it, but even though you did have that one problem, I don't remember exactly where in the timeline it was, but you had that one player you said was disrespecting you. Even though that was a thing, you're not with that team anymore. You've got a future ahead of you. They have their own destiny to make for themselves. Any hard feelings between you and any of the guys over there, you want them to succeed, and it's from what you're telling me, it sounds like you understand they made a business decision if you're still friends with them. But any hard feelings on that side, or is everything all good?
Well, like I told you, after taking a few steps back after my kick,
Yeah.
I saw myself as other teams would see me on paper. That young guy that had confidence issues and had bad statistics. I think that it's what made the guys take their business decision. I don't blame them. Like, if I see myself like the way they were seeing me, like through their eyes, I can understand why they took this decision. It's okay. I should never have left me dive into this guy because I couldn't. I guess because I was the problem, I couldn't see that I was becoming the problem. And taking a few steps back and seeing that just by lifting a mental barrier, I could have like stopped myself from being kicked.
Yeah,
it's okay. That happened for a good reason. Now it's a way. And now they took a strategic decision that made sense for them, especially after 4 first rounds,
right?
Not first rounds, but 4 bad results in LAN.
There you go. Yeah,
and disappointments. So I totally get it, and that's why even though like sometimes a few like players may have said a few words that were disrespectful, like it's okay. Like it happens. It's a very emotional job too. Like if you don't forgive to people, it means that you didn't grow up. And I think I grew up. So yeah, I forgave them. I forgive him for what he said, and I never like I don't feel bad at all about them. I really wish them like it's sincere. I wish them to finally perform offline, and I wish them to face me in the grand final. That would be great.
Oh, there you go.
I would love that.
Oh man, if they finally make it back to a LAN event, it's a grand final. All of a sudden, it's eUnited versus Rogue, and their final boss is the guy they had on their team. Imagine, okay, from my caster point of view, just think of the storyline that's involved in that. Oh my god, that'd be insane.
That would be. I love that. You have no idea. That would be so cool. I wouldn't. Of course, like I wanted to win. I would want to win with my team, but I just the after party after this game. That would be so funny.
That would be nuts.
We'd probably like speaking of all the rounds and get drunk and dance and just love this moment. I wait. I can't wait for this to happen.
Whoever the Ubisoft screenwriter is who writes all of the plots for Pro League, because all of Pro League is obviously scripted. This is all like pro wrestling. It's all fake. Whoever's writing that, can we please have that final at like the next major, just wherever that is? Can we just make that happen? Because oh my god, that would be really tight. But
yeah,
I think I didn't really have any other questions on the docket. I think even if I didn't even like have to ask the question, I think it still kind of got answered through the course of this. So is there anything else you kind of want to get like off your chest, like on the table, something you'd like to put out there just as a result of this whole situation? I know for me, one thing I'll say before you do, I don't know if you would have had like nearly this much amount of personal growth if it wasn't for that kick. I think you're 100% right. That's a massive wake-up call in the face of a really overwhelming circumstance when you're not really in control of your own future. But to then go through this entire process to pack up your apartment, get your paperwork in order, move all the way to the US, grab your visa, move in with people that you have known for, personally for maybe only like a couple of weeks to a month at the time that you like get to the United States, to go through that entire thing and now to come on the other side with a positive mental attitude, a team that very clearly, and an organization also that's, supporting you guys the whole way through, and the community still very much on your side, whether it's back in Europe or here in America. Like, there is so much good that came out of this. I don't think you would have had nearly like the same path were it not for there being that mental problem or that mental block initially. So I think you are 100% on the better side of this, just from this conversation and from the results that I've seen. There's nothing on my plate that suggests that this was anything but beneficial. Obviously, once COVID is over and you can, acclimate more, that'll be its own thing. But from everything I've seen, you got a #1 fan in me right now. Nothing about this is bad.
I just witnessed a therapy session with a psychologist. Like you just summed up everything. You just summed up everything. That's great. That like I mean. I think I didn't take everything into account. I noticed everything I told you. Like I just noticed it week by week, and I never put everything together. But you're 100% right. Like if you just think of it and take a few step backs after talking to you, like I'm like, you're perfectly right. Like so many good things happened of this, so many good things, so many things as a player, but even as Leo, as the person I am, so many things I learned, so many things that grew inside me. That's just like. It is a really beautiful adventure. If I may say, it is a really beautiful adventure.
It looks like that, man. It's working, dude. It's working, and I'm gonna tear up. I don't want to cry. This is just working out so good for you, and I'm really happy that it is. All right. Anything else you want to get off your plate real quick before we wrap this up?
Well, I want to thank you for this interview. I mean, this was, like I said, it was really, really positive for me. It was really positive. It was a good way for me to sum up everything I went through since November, every thoughts, every decision, every actions I took to overcome everything that went my way. And I'm not done. I tend to be the best player I want to be, and the most important, be the best player my team needs to be. That's not French. That's not English. Wait, be the best player my team needs. Exactly.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
And I want to be. I just want United to really like perform. I want my team to perform and give back to my organization for everything they've made. I want to perform for my teammates because they deserve it. I want to perform for my family because they deserve this after like the sacrifice of seeing their son go away. I want to do it for my friends because they don't see me anymore. I want to do it for my dog because he misses me petting him. And I want to do this for everyone else, the community. Like I just want to perform to show everyone this was a good idea and this was a good move. And on the side note, prove that the pro players that sent DMs and said it wasn't a good move, now I think they regret it, and I want to make them regret it.
Right,
and I want to, I just want to also prove myself that was a great idea, that was a great move, and I took the right decision. I think that I already proved that to myself, but I think that performing might be the cherry on the top.
I think you've got all the motivation. Even though you might have started initially as saying, I want to prove the haters wrong, there's so much other good stuff that's being fed into this and enough positive reinforcement to keep going that it's not even that you need to worry about like the negative reinforcement that's, the wall that you would have to get through otherwise. I think it's come together at a point where you can carve out your own destiny. You've already done a good portion of that to this point, but from my point of view, there isn't anything standing in your way other than the other guys in North American Pro League who you're going to have to smash through once that league kicks off. I don't know exactly when that is. I don't think you need to say anything. I'll wait for them to give like an official date on when that starts. But, bruh, you guys have everything in the bag. Good freaking luck, and dude, go give Yeti a hug for me because oh my god, everything that guy's done. Like, there's a reason I've got his name on the back. There's a very good reason for that.
I will. Don't worry. But I don't wanna. Look. Some. How do you call that in English? Wait, you have that word. When you create a fake story about two guys, like fiction, like a fan fiction.
Oh god.
I don't wanna feed the fan fictions about Yeti and I. So I'm not gonna do it on the camera.
Oh no. Oh god. Oh no. All right, I'm going to end this before anybody gets any idea about like any eUnited fan fiction. We don't need any of that in here. Awesome. Alphama, Leo, thank you very much for doing this with me. And you've got a #1 fan on my side, and I sure hope everyone else is rooting for you as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this interview. Thanks again for everything, all the work you've done for this community. I've been following you for a while now, and I've really appreciated like the step up in everything, every aspect of your work, and I really want to see you being supported by the community too, and grow up as a content creator because I think you really deserve it.
Thank you, brother. I'll keep on trucking as long as I can, and I'll take the opportunities where they come. But I'm doing it because you took an opportunity where you definitely didn't have to. And you made the most of it, so I'm going to try to do the same thing. So, thank you, brother. You and me, we're going to do this together, I swear.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, brother.